Hi, I'm David Shulman, and welcome to episode 2 of David's Corner. I'm continuing my 6-part series of how I use AI in my law practice. Now, before I get going, I want to tell you what makes me different from every other lawyer yapping about AI on the internet. I am not trying to sell you anything. I don't have a class they want you to sign up for. There's no webinar for you to buy or materials you can download, so how you too can be a Claude expert in 24 hours and grow your business. None of that. I just like smoking cigars and talking about nerdy stuff. If you learn something, great. If you want to reach out with questions, I'm happy to nerd out with you. But I make a living by being a lawyer and not trying to sell shit to other lawyers. In my last video, I spoke a little bit about how I built a bunch of AI tools to run my practice and the ethics of lawyers using AI. Today, I'm going to focus on the main tool that I use, which is Claude. So what is Claude? It's basically another AI bot similar to ChatGPT or Google Gemini. Every AI bot has their own use. For example, I'll use Gemini to create images and videos. I use ChatGPT to discuss non-work matters, like when I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with my kitchen sink. But for work, Claude wins. And it wins because of two important tools, Skills and Claude Cowork. Most people, when they think about AI, picture a website. You open a browser, you type a question, and you get an answer back. What I'm using is different. It's Claude plugged into my actual tools, my files, my Outlook, my calendar, my practice management software. It doesn't tell me what to do. Instead, I tell it what to do, and it does it. So how do you start? First, you should download the actual Claude program to use on your computer and not just use the website, because some of the things I will about require you use the actual program itself. Next, before I get going, I need to emphasize the most important thing that every attorney must do before they start using Claude. You have to go into the privacy settings and turn off the help improve Claude setting, which is on by default. This prevents Claude from taking your data, and more importantly, your client's data, and sharing it with the rest of the system to help train Claude, which both the computer and other people can see. But with this off, your data remains private. Now, moving on to skills. This is the first killer function. So what is a skill? A skill is a set of written instructions that you can give Claude once, and it follows every time you run them. All right, so right now I can see through the screen that your eyes are already glazing over. It's easier for me to explain by using an example. I have an engagement letter skill, which I'll talk about in much more detail in the next episode. When I tell Claude in plain English, draft an estate planning engagement letter for John and Jane Smith, it knows to 1, pull all of the information from Clio, my practice management system on John and Jane Smith. 2, pull any email correspondence that we've had. 3, review the recorded transcript of our meeting. 4, review all of the documents that the prospects the Smiths provided, including account details and prior estate planning documents. 5, review my notes, and then, using all of that, create an estate planning engagement letter on my law firm letterhead with both my standard boilerplate, every lawyer has boilerplate, and a customized section to the Smiths where it describes in English prose their situation, what we'll be doing for them, and our fee, all in my preferred formatting with the correct fonts, spacing, styles, and so on. Now, does the personalized part come out perfect? Not always. I still have to edit it a bit, but I would have to edit it if an associate or an assistant did it for me too. It comes out pretty darn good. I've created over 30 skills, and I continue to make more all the time. Next, I want to talk about how and why each skill. Every new skill starts because something annoyed me. Yes, as I'm going about my day, every time I get annoyed doing something, I think to myself, can I make a skill to do this instead so I don't have to do this thing anymore that I find so annoying? I'll give you a few examples. I got a message from a client that her son just turned 18 and she wants me to draft a power of attorney and healthcare circuit for him with her as the agent on both. So now I have to go and find her documents and file in my system, review them to make sure I have all of her son's details correct, enter her son's information into Clio, create a new matter in Clio with her son's information, set the flat fee billing amount, take her son's information from Clio and export it to Interactive Legal, my document drafting system, and then use the software to draft the documents. Then, after I generate the documents, I have to edit them with my preferred changes, because I make some changes to every estate planning documents, the same changes each time, both substantive and formatting. Then I have to convert the document to PDF, watermark it with the word draft, and email it to the client for review. These are all things I have to do every time I draft estate planning documents for clients. The only thing that a whole string of tasks that didn't annoy me is drafting the documents itself, because that's lawyer work. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. So now I've created skills in Claude so that it can do everything else. So Claude can, for me, find the client's prior saved documents on my system, extract the information about her and her son, names, addresses, phone numbers, that kind of thing, from the documents, enter that information into Clio if it's not already there, create a new matter in Clio and set the flat fee, and transfer that information from Clio to Interactive Legal for drafting. Now, once it gets to Interactive Legal, I still have to draft the documents myself. That's okay. Like I said, that's lawyer work. That's what I should be doing. But once I generate the documents with the program, I have Claude skills that will go through the documents and apply my standard language and formatting changes. Then it will convert the document from Word to PDF. Then we'll stamp them with the draft watermark. Then we'll automatically create a new email to the client using the email address it has in the system, and its documents to the email with the request for review with the standard language I gave it. Here are your estate planning documents, please review. I'll contact me to sign or questions, blah, blah, blah. It has the language I've already given it. Here's another example. A couple of weeks ago, a new prospect calls the firm. Now, we have a standard procedure. My answering service answers the call, and they run her through a 4-question intake. Basic stuff, name, contact info, what she's looking for, something like that. Then, as soon as they get the call, they send me the call summary by email, and they also send the prospect an initial short information gathering form. This isn't my full multi-page estate planning intake form where I gather all their information and their family and their assets, but it's really just to reaffirm that the information taken by the answering service is correct with a couple of additional questions. So it's name, address, phone number, ballpark net worth, and having the client enter in their own words what they're looking for. So when she completes it, this information will automatically go to HubSpot, which is my CRM, and it'll also come to my email. And Claude can fully read both. So then I call her back. I don't outsource calling back clients or prospective clients to AI or anyone else. We talk, we have a nice conversation, we set up a meeting for the following week. So now, again, I have a bunch of busy work I have to do, and once again, I'm annoyed. I have to send her a welcome email confirming the appointment, attach the link to our full estate intake questionnaire to the email so she can start filling it out. Then I have to put the appointment on my calendar. Then I have to send her a calendar invite. And now she's coming in person. But if it's Zoom, then I have to go to Zoom, set up the meeting in Zoom and invite her. And having to do all these things is kind of annoying. They're not hard, they're just annoying. And it's something I have to do every time a new prospect calls. And it's the same procedure every time. But because I was annoyed, I didn't want to have to do it anymore, I created a new skill. Now when I run the skill, I'll say, create the intake on Jane Smith, and our meeting is at 1 p.m. on June 2nd. And it will automatically read the email from my answering service and the short intake form they filled out, if they did, which to gather the name, information, phone number, and email address. Then it will add the meeting to my calendar. If it's Zoom, we'll actually go into Zoom and create a Zoom meeting. Then we'll send the prospect an invite, either regular or Zoom. Then we'll draft an email to the prospect with the language I've already given it every time, thanking them for content, confirming the meeting, and providing the link to the full intake form. And sometimes I don't set the meeting by phone. I actually do it by email. I'll email the client, we want to come in Wednesday the 8th at 2 p.m. And if I've done that, I can just run the skill. I don't even have to tell Claude when the meeting is, because it can read it from the email itself. All because these things annoyed me. So how do I create these skills? I'm not a programmer. I don't know how to code. I don't do anything technical. What I do is I tell Claude in plain language, here's what's annoying me today. How do we fix it? Then Claude and I go back and forth about what I want it to do, and it creates a skill for me. Sometimes I tell it the details of exactly what I want the skill to do, and other times it's just a nebulous goal. If it needs more information, it will ask me questions. Now these skills will often take trial and error, and I'm constantly refining them. If the way they run annoys me, I'll refine the skill to make it better. I could be annoyed by an extra line in my letterhead skill, so I'll tell it to fix that. I was annoyed by the way that it numbered pleadings, which is really a Microsoft Word thing, because Microsoft Word's numbering is terrible. I had to fix that too, but again, it does all the work. So then when I want to run a skill, there's no special term I have to remember, there's no special program. It's just send an invite letter to the Smiths or draft an engagement letter to the Jones. That's how every skill in my library got built. Something annoyed me, and I built a skill instead of having to do it again. Then I keep refining it until it works exactly how I want it to, and I'm no longer annoyed. In addition to the skills that you can create yourself, there are plenty of other skills that you can download from the internet, created by other people. Anthropic, the company that makes Claude, has a whole bunch of them. I use Asam mainly for when I want to create artwork and graphics and the like. On top of skills, the next major function I use Claude for is Claude Cowork. Now this is what requires you to download the program to use. When you use Claude in a browser, you're basically having a conversation with it. You type things in, Claude reads them, Claude writes back, then you copy the things out and go do something with them yourself. Cowork is different. The easiest way to explain it is like this. Skills are individual tools, and Cowork is the employee. The engagement drafting is a skill, but it's Cowork who actually does the work. Cowork has basically become my associate, my paralegal, and my secretary. The main difference is that it works 24 hours a day and won't quit and sue me for creating a hostile work environment because I curse at it too much. And unlike using Claude in a browser, Cowork can actually interact with the programs on my computer. It can open Word, it can edit documents, it can organize files on my hard drive, it can save documents into the correct client folder instead of the spitting text onto a screen for me to copy and paste somewhere. It connects to the actual programs I use every day. Outlook, Clio, Word, Excel, HubSpot. You could even do it to do tasks for you in your internet browser in Chrome. So here's another example. Let's say I need to send a letter to a client after a meeting. Now, I record all my meetings using an AI tool, with client consent, of course. This is great because first what will happen, it will read the recorded transcript of the meeting so it has full context. This is to make sure that I don't forget anything and it hears exactly what both me and the client said. Then I'll tell Cowork generally what I want the letter to say. It'll draft the letter, put it on my letterhead with the correct formatting, save it to the correct client folder on my hard drive. Then, after I read it, of course, I'll have to edit it. But instead of having to go in and edit it myself, I'll usually edit it with Cowork directly. I don't have to go in and do it with Word. I just tell Cowork, move this paragraph higher, or rewrite this section so it sounds less aggressive, or add language about Florida homestead instead, or fix the spacing before the signature block, or why did this heading suddenly become Arial? Why did Word change the font? We just go back and forth until it says what I want it to say, and just important, it looks the way I want it to look. I am not delegating the practice of law to AI. You'll notice that the one thing I won't be talking about, I haven't talked about, is legal research. Too many lawyers have gotten in trouble for submitting pleadings with hallucinated citations in them. What I use Claude for is removing friction, because a huge amount of practicing law is not legal analysis, it's administrative BS. Organizing information, moving documents around, rewriting the same thing 6 different ways, formatting, file management, email management, all the stuff that just burns mental energy before you even get to the actual lawyer part. And for me, Claude has been life-changing in helping with that. Now, have I spent several hours working on a single skill that will take place of a 5 to 10 minute task? Yeah, absolutely, I have. But now I'll never have to do those tasks again. In the following videos and the rest of the videos, I'm going to focus how I use Claude in one specific aspect of my practice in each video. In the next video, I'm going to show you how I use skills and Cowork together to go from a first client phone call or first client email from respective clients all the way to a signed engagement letter and paid retainer with most of the administrative work automated. Thank you for watching David's Corner, and I'll see you next time.